and welcome to Pt1 TV Personality Profile. My name is Pt1. I'm your host for today. Joining me here today is a charming young man who is a community enthusiast and who believes in the fact that social problems can only be solved through continuous education. He is also a journalist at Citi TV and an entrepreneur. Such a privilege having you here today, Mr. Benjamin Aklama.
Good pleasure as well.
Okay, you're looking good.
Thank you, and so are you.
Okay, so can you please walk us through your journey as a child? How was childhood like?
Wow, okay, so I don't like to throw a lot of pity party when I talk about myself because everybody has gone through stuff, so I don't like to shine too much of light on the difficulties I've gone through, but I like to tell how they shaped me, right? So I was to come visit with me to cross the river at Bebe and go across the river. But if you want to go by road, you need to go through Vakpo, Botoku, and then you are there.
Okay.
So my mom came with me, and my grandfather insisted that I was not going back to the village. So my mom left alone, and I was left in home from age 2 until now. And I've been with my grandfather, who had a great deal of influence on me. He raised me, and that shaped me. So my growing up, well, that's how I was born. That's how I came to grow up in Ho. I spent majority of my life in Ho, a few years out of Ho for school, but largely I've been Ho born and bred.
Okay,
Yeah.
so can you tell us a little about your educational background?
Educational background, okay. I mean, I know this is a university community where education is giving, the topmost priority. But I think that there's a bit of a difference in academic education and life education. So I love to read. I've read over 320 something books.
Wow.
Consciously. But academically, I hold a degree in marketing, but I practice journalism. So you see that for me, it's not necessarily the academic channel for me. It's more about what I can learn from wherever I can learn it. Yeah, so my education is wishy-washy like that. It goes everywhere I find anything interesting to learn.
Okay,
Yeah.
so where was your basic education?
My basic education started at a place called Agbola. Anybody who grew up in Ho know Agbola. And I like to make fun of it to say Agbola is where even English was taught in Eve. They'll say Ekenya is. Nibloma said is, you understand? So it was like that. Even English was taught in Eve. It was a very beautiful experience. We were taught in our L1, which is our basic language. And it gave us a very good base of education. I moved from there to Dura Memorial in 1999. We're one of the first batches, and Dora was good. I remember one teacher called Teacher Foster, who turned my life around at that level. Teacher Foster did not speak Ebe, and I did not speak English because I came from where even English was taught in Ebe, you can imagine. So whatever he taught, I never understood any of it. But Teacher Foster would stay me behind after my colleagues had gone on break and teach me the things. And I don't know what magic he performed because he didn't speak Ebe and I didn't speak English. But he found a way for me to understand, So by early 2000s, when I was leaving Dora Memorial, I was speaking English and everybody was surprised. Yes, so I went to Dora Memorial. From there, I went to Reese Presby Basic School for class 2 because my grandparents couldn't afford the fees at Dora Memorial. And I remember an interesting time. The mistress of Dora Memorial at the time, Madame Dora Jobo, had to write a letter to my grandfather to request that I should be given some stipend to go to school because we didn't used to take money to school, so you just go to school like that. So she wrote to him. I was like, the way I used to stay in the classroom when all the others are on break, it would be prudent that he gives me some money. It's a very nice story, long story. But I moved from there to Reese Presby, to Mauli GHS, and then back to Reese Presby, where I ended my junior high school. Then I went to Pekis Senior High School, came down to HTU, went to UCC. That's been the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back in high school and basic school, were you holding any leadership positions?
I tell you what, I was a very timid boy growing up. So JHS, how dare me, I didn't try. I couldn't. I was the tiniest of my class all the time. And I think by virtue of my going to school too early as well, I was always an age younger than my colleagues. So when all my colleagues were 12, I was 11.
Okay.
And I'm a January born. So you could see how young I was. So if we are in a year where they turned, say, 12 last September, I would turn 11 the subsequent January, and now turn 12 in September, by when they had gone to 13. So I was always behind them in age. That also affected my stature. I was small, dark, small, and round. Man, I was a toy of the class.
Wow.
Everybody could toss with me, so I didn't dare to do anything that would put me in harm's way.
You got bullied a lot.
I was bullied a lot. I was called a lot of names. I was called a black boy. There was a time I had just one single pair of shorts for school, and it was started at the back, and I had just one single boxer short which was red. So I mean, regularly I wear that, so they say the black red boy, or you understand. It was lovely. It was lovely, but very fine experiences that shaped my life. School, where I was urged, and I would always say this: one Mr. Agbozu, our government teacher, urged me with everything in him to contest for school prefect or associate president at the time. But no, nothing. I didn't budge. Then they forcefully gave me one assistant school prefect in charge of academics, what ordinarily you call preps prefect, right? So I was in charge of academic private studies. It gave me a bit of a leverage, which was good. Then I met a teacher there called Sir Ewindo, who saw more in me than I saw in myself. And Sir Ewindo insisted that I turned around in senior high school. The man, I'm not sure how best to describe him. He would get me books and stay me in his lab. He was a chemistry teacher, and I was so dumb at chemistry, but I was his favorite student. So he would lock me up in his laboratory. I would read, and he gave me the opportunity to see a different world. And he was telling me all the time that if only I could see what he was seeing in me, I wouldn't sleep. When he gives me the books and goes and comes, I've dozed off. And it was like if I was seeing what he was seeing in me, I wouldn't be dozing off. And that marked another great turning around for me. I left Pikisnia High School, came to Old Technical University, because I read general arts. That's not what I really desired. But my grandparents said, well, you spoke good English, you're good at languages, so go and do languages. I went and changed to CRS myself. I came after school. I thought, okay, what I really want to do is business. So I went to HTU, where my general arts program could be admitted to business. So I read marketing. Then there was opportunity to contest for the national president of the Ghana National Union of Polytechnic Students at the time. So all 10 polytechnic students, the president. Well, now I was a bit confident. I'm no longer the timorous soul that I contested for that position. Won it by 49% or so. Wow. When there were 4 of us contesting. So that's a good sign. I went on to lead the union for a year, handed over peacefully. Then I started facing myself into leadership a little bit. I went on to become vice president of the Record Club of Who, after being secretary, committee level leadership positions. I'm now the lead of Bar Camp Who. So yes, that's how I got into little leaderships, the roles that I played. Yeah.
Okay. So back to when you were growing up as a child, most children have dreams. When you ask them, oh, I want to be a doctor in future, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a pilot, were you having any of such dreams?
Well, I think mine was a little different. My basic dream was to be rich.
Wow.
Yes. Well, so not until sometime 2000 and I think sometime 2009 or 10, we didn't have electricity at home. And we'd go and stand behind people's windows and watch television. And sometimes they come and pour water on you and all of that. So I was so minded to be rich and have those things at home. You get the point? So I think that my greatest ambition as a child was to be rich. Yes.
Uh-huh.
I've learned to do it a fair way, but the ambition was to be rich, you know. Yes. Then, because I wanted to be rich, and the richest man in my family at the time was a lawyer.
Okay.
It's called Uncle Richard there. So, lawyer is the one who comes to the house with the finest car. So that was my desire. So I thought, okay, well, if law is what makes people rich, that's what I must do. So I must be a lawyer. Then I guess, and time went on. Well, I think I'm still on the path. I like business. I like corporate law. So I may get there someday, but the ultimate is to be rich through any which fair means.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So were you having any role model at the time?
Role models? Not really. My grandfather has been my biggest inspiration, and he's a man of humble achievements. He's not braggadocious. He lives by his own means, and I respect that. And I really desire to live as affably as he has lived. He's 87 years, still kicking, still drives through town, still able, because I felt he's kept a very affable life, which I desire to. For me, he has been like a role model for me. Then, growing up, when I started reasoning and started seeing things clearly, I picked for myself a few other role models. Is Anan Nkoma, one of the best lawyers we have on this continent.
Wow.
Inspires me a lot. Mr. David Ofosudote of AB and David law firm inspires me a lot. Patrick Ewa Jr. of Ashesi University inspired me a lot. And a lot of people are mentioning are all Rotarians. I'm a Rotarian as well, so I look up to them a lot. I get inspired by their very humbling achievements. Patrick Ewa, Ashesi University, phenomenal, idea. David Dotte. David Dotte is a thinker of our era. I believe if all of Africa were handed into David Ofosu-Dotte's hands, he would lead us out of the quagmire we are in economically, right? He's a solid brain. I admire him. Then Isana Nankoma, I think the guy is just a gem. And if I ever want to be another human being, I think I should be like him.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Okay, so currently I know you are a journalist at Citi TV. How did that come about?
My journey to journalism, 3 things: chance, choice, grace. 3 things. My grandfather always listened to the radio, so there was barely a jingle on radio I didn't know, right? And up to now I could still repeat some of them because Volta Star Radio and Volta Premier at the time, they were the sole radio stations of the era, that I grew up. And there were the likes of Edemia Tosa, who is now Tabia Hogo, Tarantula on radio. I listened to the radio by force, because it was just by chance that I was growing up in such an environment. So that's chance that I got oriented to radio. I remember in 2012, I came back from senior high school. Then they were mentioning Volta Premier's phone lines on radio. Then I picked the phone line. I told them that I wanted to report for them from an electoral polling station. As at that time, I wasn't even voting. I was still a very young boy, but I had that desire because I've listened to it time and again. I believe I could do it. There was a time somebody walked to my grandparents and said they think I was going mad because I was in the back garden and I was like, "Hello, good morning and welcome to the Premier Morning Show on Volta Premier 98.1 FM. My name is Benjamin Aklama." I was traveling that, and the person heard me and went to tell my grandparents that I was going crazy. So that's what I do. So she didn't mind me, but that's how the chance part of it came. Then choice. The choice was to go and volunteer at Volta Premier when I was in HTU. Academic life, tedious, strenuous. We call it hot poly. Believe you me, HTU is the hottest technical university in Ghana. Trust me.
Wow.
We are stretched the most, and that's why the product also do well in industry. But it was hot. But I chose to give a bit of my time to Volta Premier and dedicate myself to it. So that's where I learned the journalism. Then grace, because when I finished school, I wrote my final exam on June 3 in 2016. By June 26, I got a job at Global FM. I had not even started my national service. So I was doing my teaching assistance on campus and working on a radio station. Sheer grace. Of course, I prepared for it. I was ready for it. But it was just by grace. And I was actually there to do social media handling. Twitter and all of that. But the manager at the time listened to my argument one time and thought, okay, I was a good material for radio. Took me along to radio. After 6 months, he resigned and handed over the morning show to me. I became the youngest morning show host at the time. People were writing articles that it was going good and all of that. So that's how the grace led me to it. Then when I decided to resign from Global FM in 2018, May, by November, I had a call from somebody at Citi FM. You want to work with Citi FM? Like, why not? And there I was. So sheer grace along the way. Yeah.
So how many years have you been working with Citi TV?
Let's count it. I started from 1st November 2018. So okay. 2018, 19 a year, 20 another year, 21 another year, 22. So 4 years. Wow. At the time, I had done about 3 years of media before then. So in all, I've been in the media space for about 7 years.
Okay, so how has the experience been like?
I think it's normal life experience. It peaks, it troughs, it's normal, it goes up and down. Right. There are times it's all fun. When there is election and there's a lot of analysis to be done, why will somebody win, who will not win, and all of that, what will people vote on and all of that. It makes it interesting for me. Then I'm a business journalist now, so when Ghana is going to the IMF, what does it mean? What would that mean to your local pocket? When e-levy was coming, how was that going to affect your coins in your pocket, your purchasing power? What does it mean for industry? I like to analyze all of this. So because I am also like that, I mean, I enjoy those parts of it. Then a few times you get a threat from here and there. Somebody wants to beat you up for some reportage you've done and you like it. That's also part of the game. So it's a mixed bag of things, but I think it's been all good. The good thing about media practice for me is that it has exposed me to several things. Several things. I'm almost a jack of a lot of things because of the media practice. You need to know about it to be able to report about it. So every now and then you're forced to learn. And every day is a learning day. You know, I edit the business news website now. Every day my colleagues will write stories. I need to proofread, correct things. It means I must know it. So every day I learn, and that's a good thing. I'm happy about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know the journey has been for some time now, and I know you've faced a lot of challenges. Can you tell us a bit about
in a media practice?
Well, generally, in everything.
On May 5, 2020, I returned from an assignment in Aklama, parked my Kia Picanto car in front of my house, went in to take a shower, came back in about 12 minutes, and my car was burning. Yeah. For a young man at the time, I think I was about 25 or 6, and my car was on flames. Yes, that touched me a little bit. It was a bit crazy, yeah, but it was good because I think God wanted to clear that and replace it with a better one. So it went up in flames. Well, I'm very sure it was intended for bad, but God knows why He allowed it to happen. So I give thanks for it. But I think that was the most striking moment for me. Then most exciting moment, I was on a trip somewhere in the Southern African region. Met somebody in South Africa who I was in a smoke. I was like, oh, come in Nkrumah. You know how they when they see you smoke, they think you are coming Nkrumah. So like, oh, come in Nkrumah. I'm like, oh, I'm good. How are you? I'm good. And all of that. Like, oh, where do you work? I'm like, Citi FM. Citi FM, what's your name? I'm Benjamin. I was, oh, I know you. I've been seeing you on TV. I was like, oh, even internationally. You know, so that was a bit pleasant for me. That was like a very exciting moment for me. Then in 2019, I was adjudged Journalist of the Year for the Volta region by the GJA. Well, for a young man in the industry, it was very honorable for me. I took it with a lot of joy and thanking God for how much more He's promised to do in my life. I think He set a good tone for me to rise on. So those are the good stuff.
Okay. Okay, so do you have any plans for the future in the aspects of journalism? Maybe working with some other TV stations?
My big brother and very good friend Bismarck T likes to say I'm a bird in flight.
Okay.
Yes, so I pitch where the Lord directs.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. I don't know how long I would want to remain in the media, but I think the God who brought me here knows when He would want me to leave or where next He'd want me to go. I can tell. I do my best. I give it my very best. And if he desires that I impart anything He has given me anywhere else, I'll be glad to do so. Yes.
Okay. It's been interesting so far. But before we continue, let's go for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.